When I was recording my last episode about 2 a.m. phone call, I kept thinking about another story where a significant event did not announce itself. Just arrived quietly, and by the time I understood what had happened, it was already over. My team just finished a pretty big project, and we were in the initial stage of discussing the next one. Relatively quiet period, no emergencies on the horizon. And since the team just delivered successfully, I was told that my boss's boss wanted to visit our location and thank the team in person. Senior executives travel between locations all the time. Nothing unusual about that. He met with the team and then he asked for one-on-one meeting with me. Nothing unusual about that either. We had a good working relationship. We sat down for what I felt a completely normal conversation until he said something I did not see coming at all. He said, "What would you do if your boss was no longer here?" I told him my boss is doing outstanding work. He has immense respect of the team, and losing him would be a devastating shock. And I actually meant every word. He nodded and we wrapped up the meeting. He left for the airport and I was heading home. And then, even before I reached my car, I had my phone out and I called my boss. I told him about the meeting, the conversation, what I said, what he said. And the reason was very simple. I consider my boss a friend. We worked together for many years at this point, and I thought he's in danger and he needs to know. It was a completely emotional decision. Had I thought about it for a moment, I might have done something different, but I didn't. And this is the whole point of the story. Instead of stopping and thinking, I acted on an impulse. Looking back, I can see I made two mistakes simultaneously, and I did not see either of them at the moment. The first one is more obvious. A senior executive doesn't fly into your location, sit down with you for one-on-one meeting, and ask about replacing your boss as a casual hypothetical. This conversation was specifically about how would I position myself when the power dynamics shifted. And my enthusiastic defense of my boss, completely genuine, actually positioned me in exactly the wrong place because I demonstrated loyalty to a person instead of the loyalty to the organization. I did not realize that the center of power has shifted. The second mistake is the one I think about more because it is by far less apparent. By calling my boss, I thought I was protecting a friend. What I did not think was how would this call look like for him. He now knew that the corporate has chosen me to have this conversation, not someone else on the team, me. And I suspect there is no way for me to know for sure that this call lost me his trust. Not because of something I said or did, just because this conversation has happened and I was chosen for this conversation and what it potentially implied. Our relationship was never quite the same after that. 3 or 4 months later, I got a call from my boss. Our entire team was being laid off. Officially, it was presented as a shutdown of the location, and to be fair, it was not completely unique. Few other locations were shut down around the same time. My boss had flown in to deliver the news in person. He told me he tried to push back, but the answer he got was, if you don't want to do this, we will find somebody else who will. Few folks in our team were offered positions in other locations. I was not one of them. Would a different decision have changed the outcome? I don't know. There is no way for me to know, and I made my peace with not knowing. At the time, all these decisions felt like the only right choice. Defending my boss, calling him immediately afterward, I made those decisions very quickly, acting on an instinct instead of thinking them through. I made my moves without understanding the full game board. But the organizations do not grade on intent, they grade on actions. And this is the real lesson. Not that you should be less loyal, not that you should not care about the people you work with, but you do need to understand which game is actually being played before you act. And especially when your instincts tell you to do the right thing. Had I acted differently, would my boss considered pushing a little bit harder to keep the location open? Or would his boss consider a different outcome had I demonstrated organizational loyalty instead of personal one? Possible, but it is also entirely possible that the result would be exactly the same for completely different reasons. There is no parallel universe. What I do know, I made a mistake acting on an impulse, and this is the mistake I could have avoided. Hindsight is 2020 for all of us, but pattern recognition is a skill you can develop and treat every event as a part of a bigger game and act accordingly. If any of this resonates, leave a comment or drop me a line. I would be happy to discuss further. And if you are navigating something you don't fully understand, book a free discovery call on my website. It is a real conversation, just you and I looking at your specific situation, figuring out exactly what you are dealing with. Please follow me on X and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you won't miss the next episode. And see you in the next one.